And we are live. Welcome everybody here to this week's edition of NASCAR Talk for the recap of Martinsville, looking ahead to the race this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. I'm Seth Cole, and I'll be joined by a host of people. I'll go from left to right. We've got Charles Belding. You can say hi if you want to.
Oh, hi.
We got Johnny Gardner.
Hello. By the way,
We got Angel Navarro.
Hey.
We got Stephen Pollard III. Okay.
And he's gone.
He's here. I guess he's not talking yet. Okay.
Steven died.
We have William Brock.
Hello.
We got Zach Rogers. And then we got me. I think one, two. Wait, Zach, were you in the NASCAR Talk already? I think you were.
I was in the one for Vegas.
Okay, so we've got two debuters here for NASCAR Talk with William Brock and Angel Navarro. So glad to have you guys.
I was on NASCAR Talk a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. I remember that. This is the first time on 2016, though. The new era. The new era where we're actually on a live stream, not on Skype.
Yeah, this is the now for those that have, yeah, you guys haven't had the chance to throw me yet. I've been here since Daytona.
Actually, so have I. Since I host the streams.
Yeah, Seth, you and I have been both.
Last but not least,
everybody has not had the chance to throw us.
Oh, Steven's talking now.
So, since we're talking about comebacks,
now that you're talking.
So guys, since we're talking about comebacks, what about the 55 car of Reed Sorensen?
Yeah, that Chevy, that unsponsored 55 Chevy.
It makes me cry.
Running the old JTG Doherty number 47 car.
Yeah.
When I saw that Reed Sorensen car, like what came to mind is like, is that 55 car basically just like a leftover from like Lost Racing? Because like the font number looked very similar to the David Reagan 55.
No,
yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
But I don't know, would they be able to take something like that was originally a Toyota and make it a Chevrolet?
Yeah, you can do that with the new nose. Just gotta put a new clip on it.
Oh, okay. So anyway, let's begin with the recap, obviously, of Martinsville. Now, I actually didn't get to watch this race. I had to work at auction. So for those of you that did watch it, how good a race was it? Was it a good race? Was it a typical race?
I thought it was a good race. I mean, Allmendinger was good front and ended up with a solid second-place finish.
That
I thought
prediction was horribly wrong.
pretty good.
For me, the Martinsville race was actually pretty tame for Martinsville standards. In fact, it was actually the fastest Martinsville race in 20 years. It was also one of the cleanest Martinsville races. It only had like 8 cautions. Usually, every time
I saw 6.
the Martinsville, it was like I think it was 8. And
I can look right now. Let's see. Caution flags. Yeah, 8 for 51 laps.
and usually,
Seth's prediction was horribly wrong.
I usually expect like cautions and a lot of tomorrow race cars, but we didn't really see that. Kyle Busch was throughout most of the race pretty much untouchable. The only driver that I think had a good shot at beating him was his teammate Atkins. But when the last caution came out with like less than 20 laps to go, it was all over because then Kansas would restart on the outside and it would prove to be terrible because he would go from 2nd to 15th in the final 10 laps of the race.
Oh, we have one thing to say, and it's a picture I'm sending over to Seth.
Well,
It was from the race, but it was from the radioactive edition of from
Fox Sports.
Yeah, from Fox Sports. Look, I just sent you the message.
Now, like I said, I didn't get to see the race, but I watched like the recap of the finish and everything, and apparently there was like pit strategy that happened. They said Kyle Larson had fresh tires. Now, I didn't get to see the race, so I wasn't able to see how fresh tires were against against older tires. If there had been like a 10-15 laps more, could Kyle Larson have caught Kyle Busch?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't think so. I thought I'm not really sure if fresh tires really come into play as much.
He restarted like 9th though and got 3rd in 10 laps.
Okay, so
I think for me the highlight of the race was were many good stories finishing inside the top 10. You had Allmendinger getting his best career finish since his Watkins Glen win almost 2 years ago. Hal Larson gets third at one of his worst racetracks.
Austin Dillon got 4th.
yeah,
That's his first. That's like his first top 5 at a short track in his career.
Brian Vickers got 7th place. Allmendinger got an 8th place and actually led early on, which caught me by surprise.
yeah, me too.
I really don't really have anything to contribute to except this. It's a line from Kyle Busch's radio after he won the race. It's like, what time is it? It's time for all you haters to shut up.
Oh, I remember seeing that. Yeah, I saw that.
Seth's prediction was horribly wrong about Larson and my dark horse.
I know. I noticed that. I thought, wow, okay, the stats did not add up to what I thought was going to happen. I was really surprised to see Kyle Larson finishing top 5.
Many of us last week hitting Hamlin, and of course he crashes like midway through the race.
Yeah, that was very interesting too, because I don't know if the low downforce played into that wheel hop or what. That just really shocked me.
Hey, my dark horse won. That's all I'm gonna say.
Dark horse. My ass.
Picked Kyle Busch as the dark horse. The interesting thing for me too is, there was so much hype about Joey Logano and everything with how fast he was, and then when the green flag dropped, we really didn't see much dominance out of him. He only led 21 laps.
Joey Logano versus Matt Kenseth, 2016 confirmed.
Ding, 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 ding.
And then his bumper came up in that last 10-lap run, so he couldn't see a damn thing.
No, Paul Menard and Austin Dillon.
Damn.
I was surprised that even with the amount of damage the Keselowski downs. Oh, I'm sorry.
Menard and Austin Dillon was kind of like the rivalry of the race, and I was actually kind of surprised to actually see them shaking hands in post race because they like bumped each other out of the way a couple times pretty aggressively.
You know what else is pretty aggressively? How everyone was hyping Joe Logano and Matt Kenseth this weekend. I'm sorry, but I was part of that minority as well.
I hope when we go to Texas this week, we still have the free Matt signs in the track.
Well, if we go to Texas, it's tonight, though.
And also, speaking of...
Go on.
What were you going to say, Angel?
Did he not responding? Did he lose connection?
I don't know. So anyway, we also were talking about how Ryan Blaney had previous experience in truck racing at Martinsville, and then also Chase Elliott, of course, last fall, driving the 25. The both of them did okay. Blaney in 19th, Chase Elliott in 20th. Kind of where I kind of expected to see the both of them finish.
Cool.
Chase did nothing.
Yeah.
Speaking of... And like I said before, I got cut off for some reason. Speaking of paint schemes, they've been pulling out the Darlington cars a little early this year.
Yeah, Regan Smith at Alan Cole.
That's with Alan Cole's tribute. That's nice. I actually want to get that.
I like that scheme. That's a nice.
I can't wait to see those games.
10 out of 10 would buy again.
Yeah, I would too.
I know Harvick's running an old Bush scheme from Kelly Yarborough's days.
Matt Kenseth's running an old. Matt Kenseth might run an old Dollar General schemes, from what I'm hearing.
Huh.
You know what? To be honest, you know what would look really better on the 20 though? The old school DeWalt scheme, though. To be honest.
Yeah, believe it or not, that was actually one of my retro cars in Dylan Young's NRSL series. Just running the an old Matt Kenseth paint scheme from 2001, I think, because it had the AT&T logo.
Yeah, that would be from 2001 to 2002, the AT&T sponsorship.
Well, back on Seth's point, Elliott never went past 15 for the whole race. Blaney was up there. He just got shuffled out on strategy.
Yeah.
Neat.
So Kyle Busch wins the race, and does it surprise anybody it took him this long by victory lane. I mean, we had a lot of other big names go to victory lane already, but I kind of expected Kyle to maybe go to victory lane like race 3, race 4. Took him this long to find victory lane, and it came at a track that usually is a little bit daunting to him on the Cup Series side.
Well, recently Kyle Busch has been actually. I think Kyle Busch's last 3 or 4 wins have come on tracks that he won through his time before Martinsville. They had Homestead, Indianapolis. I think that might be it.
Yeah, that's
And now Kyle Busch only has 3 tracks in the Cup Series, and he's never won it. Charlotte, Kansas, and Pocono.
Well, if you look at Kyle's 2016, he almost won the 500. Atlanta, he didn't run that well. Vegas, he could have won if the rear tires didn't burn off, and Auto Club, he blew a tire.
So he was always in a position to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of Pocono, he almost won last year until he ran out of fuel, and thus Matt Kenseth, aka Just the Goat,
That was Pocono.
won. Yeah, that was Pocono. That's what I said last year.
So speaking of Kyle Busch, let's jump over to Texas Motor Speedway because Kyle Busch
Won the Xfinity Series.
Yep, and in the last 3 races that he ran there, because obviously he wasn't able to race Texas last year, the first Texas race, he's got the highest average finish. So low downforce package, we had a really good race at Atlanta with the low downforce package. Are we going to see, especially with being a nighttime condition race, are we going to see the low downforce package bring about another good finish at 1.5 miles?
No.
Possibly.
Texas.
Maybe not.
Texas is basically like a weaker Atlanta. Like the surface is actually kind of starting to get really abrasive, but it will take a few more years for it to be like Atlanta levels of abrasiveness. Also, with the race being under night, cooler temperatures, grip levels increase. The more grip there is out there, the easier it is to drive the cars. So I don't think we're gonna be like a race like we saw at Atlanta. Just my opinion.
No. Texas is usually one of the boring tracks in the schedule. That's why.
And does
The
not
most
Like the race.
one of the better tracks from last year's perspective, it has to be Kentucky because of that package that they had. That's all I'm saying.
Now, with your point, Charles, on the grip levels, are we going to see maybe more people try and get runs off the corner through the middle of the outside line? Or is everybody just going to hug the bottom?
That's good. Well, usually, like I think what the typical Texas races have been for a long time is usually like everyone starts racing on the bottom, and then as the race goes on, the group winds out to the top. It seems like this happens a lot at Texas.
Well, usually Texas is a multiple lanes, but we see the long green flag run. It's never been an exciting racetrack. Honestly, I think they should really cut a Texas race and have something else.
Yeah, in my honest opinion, I never really liked the Texas races, mainly because during like chase rounds, especially Jimmy Johnson's always the one who has to like dominate over Texas. It's like basically the norm at this point.
Yeah,
It's just my opinion.
And Kyle's only won 1 race at Texas in 2013, so he's going for a second one now.
Didn't he win it over Martin Truex Jr.?
Yes, he did.
You know, if we put most of that into perspective, I think we can make Martin Truex Jr. at least a favorite, or just at least a contender for the win at Texas.
All right, then let's have that lead into our picks, as we're going to try and help
I wanna
people
go
with
first.
their... what?
I'm gonna go first.
You're going to go first. All right, so we're going to go...
Yes, you're not stealing my dark horse. None of you are.
Haha.
We'll go differently this week. We'll go from right to left rather than left to right. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you our dominant driver, the one we think is going to dominate, win the race, is the overall favorite. Driver to stay away from that you aren't going to want to have on your fantasy list. like I picked Kyle Larson last week. Haha. And then a dark horse might not necessarily expect could be up there battling for the victory. So, go ahead, Zach. You start us off.
So it's dominant, stay away from, and dark horse, right?
That's right.
Correct.
And if you can hear the baby, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do.
Shh! Don't wake the baby.
Baby's already waking. All right, so dominant driver, no surprise, Jimmy Johnson. 3 wins in the last 4 races, all top 5s, obviously. Or actually, that one race out of those 4, he didn't have a top 10, but over 300 laps led, average finish is 7th. He might be starting 11th this week, but you know he'll go right up to the front and he'll probably lead half the race. Driver to stay away from. I didn't really think about that one that much. I'm gonna have to actually go with Matt Kenseth. This might be a little bit of a shocker, but in the last 3 races, he's only got 1 top 10 and only 1 top 20. Average finish about 18th. He has led some laps, but that average finish isn't going to go well for you. And then my dark horse has to be probably the driver on the most consistency or most momentum, and that would be Austin Dillon. He's been getting good finishes at tracks that he hasn't done good at before. He's starting 10th this weekend, and he's won at Texas, I believe, in the Truck Series. So, familiar track for Austin here.
All right, let's move over to William.
I think my dominant pick would probably be Kyle Busch, considering that he won the Xfinity race. Driver to stay away from, Danica Patrick. Dark horse, I mean, for my dark horse, even though he's done well in practice, he's qualified 23rd. I'm going to go with Allmendinger. Despite him qualifying in 23rd, I think he can bounce back from that and manage to get a good finish. Or at least get a good finish.
All right, Steven.
Oh, man, my turn. All right, my pick to win. It's going to be Harvey Shock by Kevin Harvick. This is one of the 4 tracks he's never won at, so I could see him maybe breaking through. He's finished top 3 the last 3 races besides his blown engine 2 years ago. A dark horse? Man, who is a dark horse? Honestly, look out for Larson. He had a good run last week, and he loves the high line on the track, so maybe if it gets up nighttime, the high line works great. You can be up the front. Someone to stay away from, man, it's a hard decision. I think maybe Hamlin. Hamlin hasn't always ran well at Texas, besides his win in 2010. So maybe look away from Hamlin. And is there anything else for it?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
All right, Johnny.
Okay. Let's see. Dominant one, I'm going to go with, of course, who else would I pick? Probably Jimmy this week, since it is one of his best tracks. Maybe Jimmy and Brett are going to probably duke it out for the finish like last year, I think, last fall. So my sleeper, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Larson. Driver to stay away from, Austin Dillon.
Wow, okay. Charles.
Okay, so the pick to win. I'm surprised no one has picked this because he was so incredibly dominant last year in the fall. Brad Keselowski.
I said Jimmy and Brad will duke it out for the finish.
But you picked Jimmy Johnson, though, so.
Anyway, I'm going to continue. Last year in the fall, he led like 312 laps and came so close to winning, only to get passed by Jimmy Johnson late.
318 of 334 laps, I believe. My memory bank serves me.
And in the last 4 starts at Texas, he has the second best average finish, 6.25. And so I feel like Brad Keselowski, he starts like 8th. Yes, he does. And I think we're going to expect Brad Keselowski, see Brad Keselowski get up to the front very, very quickly, dominate, and be the winner of the race. Now, the dark horse pick, I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. In his 2 Cup races last year, on part-time schedule, he had solid runs going, only to get that poor finishes due to an engine failure in the spring and in the fall a tire failure. And Ryan Blaney, in my opinion, I think is quietly runs well at these tracks, and this track is similar to Atlanta, and he was having a good run at Atlanta earlier this year, so that's why Ryan Blaney is my dark horse. And the driver to stay away from, last week he had his best performance of the season, but this week he is the driver to stay away from. That is Brian Vickers. In his 17 starts at Texas, 21.29 average pace finish, only 2 top 10s. So Brian Vickers is the driver to stay away from. I think he's going to be all over the place.
All right. I'm actually going to go with somebody that nobody's picked yet. I'm going to go for my dominant driver to be Carl Edwards, because I saw a trend last season when Kyle Busch started winning races after coming back. That's when Joe Gibbs Racing really started to get good. You ended up seeing Carl Edwards run a lot better. You saw Kyle Busch run a lot better. Obviously, all that information was able to be fed. Well, now Kyle Busch has found victory lane again here in 2016, and we got Carl Edwards starting on the pole for this race. Carl Edwards actually has really good numbers at Texas. In his last 4 starts, he's got an average finish of 9.5. His best finish, 5th place. His lowest finish, 14th place in those 4 starts. So he's guaranteeing you almost a top 15 finish regardless of what happens in that race. Also, with starting out in front, we've seen that the 19 has a lot of speed here. With being good at this racetrack, he may end up being able to lead, believe it or not, his first lap at this track in the last 2 years. He didn't lead any laps at all in 2015 or 2014. So I think Carl Edwards might be a driver that could make it a 3-way battle with Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson. So he could be my pick. Driver to stay away from. He ended up doing good in qualifying, but my driver to stay away from is Trevor Bayne. Even though he qualified in the 12th position, if you look at the qualifying in round 2, it took him 3 laps as opposed to a number of the other drivers up in the top 12 that only ran 1 lap for him to achieve getting into the top 12 in speed. And then he ended up running 1 lap when he was in the top 12 in round 3, where he finished 12th out of 12 drivers. So, you know, the speed is there for qualifying, but he never seems to really follow it up in the race. And my dark horse, I'm actually going to go with Brian Vickers for my dark horse, because in agreeing to Charles with the fact that his average finish isn't so good overall, his average finish in his last 2 starts here, though, is 10th place. He ended up having a 4th place finish, and he ended up having a 16th place finish. We saw him run good at Martinsville. I think he's in good equipment with the 14 car, and he qualified pretty doggone well for 13th place in the starting grid. So I think that Brian Vickers, with the wave of momentum of the good finish he had at Martinsville, I think Vickers can follow it up with a good finish here tonight at Texas.
All right. Okay.
I also really wanted to pick Jamie McMurray, but I think Vickers is going to do a little bit better. The reason I didn't pick McMurray was because McMurray was like Trevor Bayne. He had to run 3 laps to achieve 18th fastest. Vickers only had to run 1 lap to be 13th fastest. So
that and Ganassi has been struggling this year.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, Jamie, you know, he was kind of good early on, but I don't know what it is. It always seems like second half of the race he drifts back.
Well,
He'll be up in like top 15, and all of a sudden you see him in the second half of the race back in the mid-20s. I don't know what the deal is.
I mean, he lost 30 during practice.
Yay, I missed everybody's picks.
Yay!
He's so far
Yay, go out to my car.
Well, we won't mention the fact that Johnny picked Austin Dillon as the driver to stay away from.
No.
Bird.
Don't put me to bird unless if I do it properly, if my camera would like to respond. There we go. If my camera will turn on correctly.
Yeah, it turned on.
It's on, yeah. But greetings.
Oh boy.
Really.
But
You know what?
Zach, losing's
This
never
is
fun.
exactly why I hate Brent Keselowski.
It's real nice.
This is why
I got
hate
it turned
Brent
inside.
Keselowski. Oh god, the Ricky Bobby reference.
All right, so let's look at the starting grid for the Texas race tonight. Were there any surprises that were up there in the tops of speeds? I mean, we already talked about Trevor Bay, but is there any?
Stenhouse.
Yeah, I
Qualified
noticed
fifth.
Stenhouse too. Also, Chase Elliott. I'm surprised
Chase
there
Elliott.
because
Yep.
Not
he
really.
ran well at Auto Club. He seems to have good speedway setups.
Man,
The only
what-
so the problem I have with Chase starting up there is he would have been on my fantasy, but he qualified fourth, so I don't think he's going to finish fourth. Because you've got Johnson below him, you've got Kyle Busch starting below him, you've got Harvick starting in 22nd. and it's-
Keselowski.
Michael Annette out qualifying Clint Boyer.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That's pretty sad. And they
What?
just posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, an article where Clip Boyer says our team is getting better. You got a ways to go before you get better, buddy.
Well, the article is more of him trashing him.
Qualifying you.
Well, the article is more of him trashing HMS than saying they're getting better. But
Oh, really?
I didn't read the article, but I think on the title it Blair said I am very miserable.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
dear.
Yeah,
I
your
think that-
team's getting better when Regan Smith qualifies better.
I
than
think
you.
the quote of the year, the quote says MWR at 20 engineers. We only have one.
Huh.
Okay then.
Very true. Let's see. Vickers qualified 13th.
Yep.
But
I would say people I thought would qualify higher.
Kevin Harvick for sure struggled.
Yeah, Harvick
Yeah,
and
he
Kurt
really
Busch.
did.
You know, one surprise. Oh, I'm sorry.
So go ahead.
Honestly, though, when you look at look at the qualifying order, right? If you look at the times, they're pretty even. But as soon as you go down, pretty much to row 17 and down, you're looking at cars that are going to be really slow, especially the 32, 30, and 55.
Well, I think one of the surprises is Ty Dillon. I expect that RCR in 95 to be a little faster.
Well, it's not RCR, though. It's an LFR Levine Family Racing car with an alliance. Remember, the 33 car back for Circle Sport, yeah, they thought it was an RCR car, but, I mean, it really wasn't.
But
Well,
it gets funding. It gets funding and it gets some equipment from RCR when Ty
Yeah,
runs
they'll
it.
get... Which, that actually pisses me off that Ty's in the 95 and McDowell isn't running in the 59
Well,
this weekend. Because they said... Before the year started, before the alliance came about, they said McDowell's running the full season. Well,
Yeah.
now you've lied. So
Well, the thing is, the third 95 is actually an RCR entry. They want you to believe it's from Joe Fox team, so it doesn't go against the charter rules.
I don't know. I wish Michael McDowell wasn't in 59, especially in this case because he would likely outqualify Reed Sorensen.
If you look, there's actually pictures of the 95 being prepped in the RCR shop. I can share some of them.
I'm assuming like.
but they have to enter it under Levine Family Racing, or the charter doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why it's listed as that.
Well, would it count if they sold it to RCR for one race?
I'm
and then it gets
guessing-
sold back?
I'm guessing the car was in RCR shop because they have to do the paint scheme.
No, the RCR actually loads the hauler. Actually, the crew chief from the 95 is they have whoever the crew chief for the Levi team is, and they actually have a different crew chief for this week for the 95 when RCR runs it.
Well, like Seth said, funding. So of course it's going to get built in RCR's stuff.
Well,
I would guess.
Wally Rogers is the crew chief for when McDowell drives, and Todd Parrish is the crew chief for when Ty Dillon drives it.
I know this is way overdue, but did anyone hear about Circle Sport and Levine Family Racing being sued?
Yeah.
It's kind of,
No. What was that about?
Mike Hillman kind of screwed them over, to be honest. I mean, Joe Falk. But something to serious talk about is next week. How is the Heats going to do well? How are we going to do Heats in the Nationwide Xfinity Series?
I have no idea.
Wait, is that starting at Bristol next week? Oh
yes.
God.
So pretty much it's going to be two 50-lap heats and a 200-lap main. I have no idea how that's going to work.
Wait, how many drivers are they letting race it?
They're gonna split the field in half, so there's 40 cars, 20-20, and that's just, and the it's like the Gatorade duels, the top 20 and the other 20, and if there's more cars, they just whoever finishes last DNQs.
Are you serious?
Wait, so is it still 40 cars in the main race, or?
Yeah, it's 40 cars. Just if you're like the lowest finisher, you're DNQ, something like that.
If there's
Well, if there's only 40 entries, then that would mean it's only 38 cars.
Well, I know there will be 40 cars, I think, because Morgan's running next week, I believe.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, Morgan withdrew.
Wait, so when do they plan to do these heat races anyway?
Well, they plan to do it in the afternoon. It's going to be a heat, then a 10-minute break, then another heat, then a 20-minute break, and then the main event.
Wow, only a 20-minute break after the second heat. If I was racing in those heat races, I would want to beg to be in the first heat.
Well, where in the world is this going to be at? Bristol?
Bristol,
Yeah.
Bristol, Richmond, Indy, and somewhere else.
They're doing it at Indy. Oh god.
Dover?
Why? Why the
Dover,
heck?
yeah.
Why do? Okay, I'm really confused. That doesn't.
Bristol and Richmond I kind of understand, but Indy I don't understand.
The fix is that are freaking broken. Simple.
What?
So at Indianapolis, it's going to be 2 20-lap heats and then a 60-lap main.
20-lap heats doesn't sound so bad. That sounds
Okay,
like
so
an
here's-
offline league race.
Okay, so here's my question. Okay, let's say that only 40 drivers show up,
Yeah.
and what if we end up having a wreck in one of those heats, and someone's not able to go to a backup car? You could end up, you could probably more than likely end up having 25 cars only racing in the main event.
And don't forget it's Bristol, so
Yeah, exactly.
it's Bristol.
I think there's somewhere in there if you can literally start and park the heat and still finish in the top 20.
True.
Wow.
Well, that's because
Okay.
there's 20
Well,
people.
that's
in the
because there's
heat.
only going to probably be 20 cars in each heat. There's more than likely going to be 40 rides.
And I bet you a lot of teams are going to start and park because they don't want to take a shot.
That would probably
Question
be the smart
is-
thing.
Question I want to know is it going to be like the Gatorade duels? Are these drivers winning prize money? For
No,
these
there's
heats?
no points in money, but I think if like
That's dumb.
the highest Xfinity driver gets entered for the Dash for Cash, and there's some rule like if you win 2 Dash for Cash races, you get automatic chase berth.
Huh.
So are they determining these 2 heats via a qualifying thing or what?
I honestly have no idea. I have no idea how they're doing this.
Pick
Oh,
a
I
name out of a hat. You're in the first duel.
Well, next week is the final week for Kyle Busch to run the 18th for about 2 months, and Matt Tiff's going to get behind the wheel. Wonder how he's gonna do.
Yay!
Wait, for what? For Xfinity?
Yeah, Matt Tiff's going to run the next 3 races in the 18, and then Denny Hamlin's going to run in Charlotte.
Huh.
I think Matt Tiff makes his 2016 debut at Richmond.
He already ran 2 races in the 24. He's going to make his debut in the.
Oh, debut in the 18 car.
Yeah.
What about Greg Galding?
Oh,
Greg
that's a
Galding.
wreck. That's a wreck waiting to happen.
Like Dylan Kwasniewski when
I mean,
he came up?
Okay, Kwasniewski wasn't that bad. He was just a spoiled kid. But Greg Galding, if we look at the 2013 Ballads of the Beach, we look at the Phoenix race where he dumped Custer. He dumped Nick Drake for when it allowed it. He's done a lot of stupid things in his career. This is not going to be a smart move.
If you want to race like that, race like trash.
Hey,
expect it
if
to return.
Gray's gonna race like that, he's basically gonna be what Kyle Busch
his own
was, and
ass.
Kyle Busch was the total asshole. He'll
Well-
be the new Kyle Busch, basically.
Well,
Even though
Greg,
Kyle's not who he used to be.
like Greg drove for Kyle last year, and he didn't get a single top 20 finish. So I mean, I don't even know how he got an ride with RCR. I mean, Roush. sorry.
RFR.
Yeah.
RCR, oh God. No way.
Well,
I was just reading an article here. Apparently, Nazareth Speedway has sold.
Well,
Yeah.
Are they gonna rebuild it or demolish it?
Well, it's sounding like they're thinking about rebuilding it, but I guess there hasn't been any confirmation from the new owner.
I thought
Rockingham's gonna get a renovation because they've got racing this year.
Actually, they canceled the X1 Pro Series race because they couldn't get the lease or something signed.
Are trucks still racing at Rockingham?
No.
No, trucks haven't ran since like 2012.
2013.
2013.
Was-
I-
They
I-
should
last
be.
winner
though.
was Kyle
I don't know
Larson.
why they aren't.
I thought they were gonna turn like Nazareth into like a mall or something.
That's what I thought they were gonna do too. Tear it down and turn it into a
Roller
strip
coaster.
mall or something.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
They should save Nazareth, though, to be honest with you. That in North Wilkesboro. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
Nazareth is pretty unique.
It is, yeah.
I like to see the truck
Even
series go back
though-
to Lucas Oil.
The funny thing about Nazareth is that it was a fictional track in the NASCAR EA Sports games.
And for a long time, and I remember playing those games when I was younger, but I actually thought that was actually a fictional track. I didn't know it was actually real. So when I found out it was real, I was actually really surprised.
Yeah, me
That
too.
was with me.
Yeah, I heard that the trucks might go to Richmond in the next few years.
They never
Well,
raced.
Mike,
The
They
trucks,
The trucks,
the
last
trucks
ran at
should get
Richmond.
another road course.
The trucks last ran at
the
Richmond.
last
in
time the trucks
2005.
ran at Richmond was in 2005, and Tony Stewart, ironically enough, DNQ'd it.
That's true.
There's the Regan Smith, Alan Kulwicki throwback for
Oh,
Darlington.
I like that. I like that.
love
That looks
that
nice.
team.
Yeah, that's
I don't,
nice.
I don't think the number fits on it. They should have went with Allen's number instead of doing the Tommy Balls.
I don't know. I think the number fits on it pretty well.
It
I think
does.
it's all right.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't
Neither
know
do
though
I.
if they would actually. The one thing with that situation, I don't know if they'd actually be able to get the rights to.
Oh God, that cancer I just saw.
I don't know if they'd be able to have the rights to be able to run the Alan Kulwicki 7 on there, because I mean, what team would even have the rights to that now?
Right.
Wouldn't it be Jeff Bodine?
I thought Kulwicki ran for his own team.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Hold
he
on,
did.
hold on here. Listen, history though. Alan Quickie ran for his own team up until his death, okay?
Yeah.
And what Alan said, if anything should happen, Jimmy Hensley would drive the 7 up until the buyer. Later on in the season, Jeff Bodine left the 15, bought Alan Kowicki's team, still ran it as AK Racing up until 1994. So Jeff Bodine currently has the rights of the Alan Kowicki number 7 font.
Well, Jimmy was it Jimmy Hensley?
Jimmy
actually
Hensley-
ran he actually
up
ran the All-Star race in the 7 car in 1990 when Allen died.
Yes, that's also true. And I wasn't even born until '96, and hell, I even have a 1993 Winston Cup yearbook with me from 1993. So it does have the stuff about Alan Quicky's team being bought.
See,
I didn't know they did yearbooks.
You see, the interesting fact that most people don't know is that Matt Kenseth actually drove for Joe Gibbs in 1999. Labonte,
Yes, he did drive the number 18 because of Bobby Labonte being injured.
Yeah, Labonte broke his shoulder in Darlington in the Xfinity Series, and then was it Kenseth?
And did you know that Matt Kenseth also drove for Bill Elliott in 1998?
Yeah, that was his first start.
Mm-hmm. When Bill was up in Georgia for his dad's funeral. But to answer your question about the yearbook, yes, I actually do have one here. Hold on. Let me just grab it really quick.
Well,
I'd like to point out a small problem, and it seems like this will finally come to pass. Remember Kyle Busch had an M&M's car they debuted back on February 25th. Or on this picture anyway, it says February 25th, 2016. It's not the vintage one. It's the one they originally planned to run with all the M&Ms on it.
Mhm.
And they haven't ran that once. They've just been running the vintage car.
Yeah.
I heard they're planning on running the vintage car to the chase at least now.
And from what I've seen, they have a Snickers car to run. They've got a pedigree car that's supposed to be Richmond, so that the vintage car will finally get a streak. And they have to run Skittles at some point.
Yep.
That'll
But yeah, to answer
probably
your
be
question,
Indy.
though,
Oh wait, Skittles was at Phoenix. I forgot about that.
Nice.
But Skittles should be running again, I would think, and then they've got the pedigree.
I would say Indianapolis.
Banfield Pet Hospital at Richmond. Other than that, it looks like it's just a vintage car and then the Snickers car at some point.
I heard Kyle's running a retro car at Darlington too.
Would
I
it
wonder
just
what
be the
retro car
vintage
he'd
car,
run.
though?
Speaking of throwback, this doesn't have to do with Darlington, but apparently I found out that it's a permanent change, and it's not like a big deal, but I think it is worth reaching out. The yellow is back on Jimmy Johnson's car.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
The yellow on the 48, the one from 2002, 2011, so it is kind of a throwback in a way.
Yep.
Well, a thing about I read was they're not sure when Stewart comes back, but if Stewart comes back, I wouldn't mind him win Kentucky and Darlington. It's the only 2 tracks he's never won at.
I think you got a better shot at him winning more of the summer races than. Well, I guess Kentucky's kind
Indy.
of a summer race, but
Kentucky's in the summer. What are you talking about, Seth?
I would say Daytona.
well, I don't really think about
won
Kentucky when I think
Daytona
about
one
summer
last
races. I
time.
think about Indy, Watkins Glen, Chicagoland, so
Daytona.
Michigan.
Daytona, yeah.
Well,
Because he's won at Daytona a lot.
if we're talking about
Just
that,
not
I
the
mean,
500.
I looked at it like Jeff never won at Kentucky, but he also never won at Japan. So Kyle would be pretty much the first driver ever in his career to win at every track he ever drove at.
Wait, did Jeff even run Japan?
Yeah.
Yes, in 1997 and no, 1998.
Well,
Oh, okay.
Well, he never ran the road course version because
Right.
Ricky Craven ran the 24 then, but he ran the oval and lost to Mike Skinner.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he ran the oval. Because I knew Ricky Craven was at the road course.
And Mike Skinner's radio communications after they won, they were like, "Yeah, we beat that son of a bitch."
That's true.
Must
So
have
what
been a big
tracks-
rivalry.
What tracks has Kyle not won in Cup? Because we know he's got 80 wins in
Charlotte
Xfinity.
and Pocono and Kansas.
And the
Charlotte,
Xfinity-
Pocono, and Kansas. That's it.
And yeah, in the Xfinity Series, he just has Watkins Glen and Pocono. Well, they never ran at Pocono before, so.
Yeah, this is their first time, and actually, I'm thinking about going to Pocono for my
All right,
birthday.
so let's make a bet. If there was one track, okay, so he's knocked Martinsville off his list. If there was one other track of the 3 that you think he has the best shot at winning at this season, which one would it be?
Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm thinking Charlotte.
Because
I
Kansas.
think in Kansas.
Would they count an All-Star race win as a Charlotte win for him or no?
No, that's
Okay.
good.
No.
I don't think so.
I think he wins Kansas before Charlotte.
No,
so I think he-
Kansas has been one of his worst tracks. I think
Yeah,
it's
Kansas
either
is not
Pocono.
good.
True. Yeah,
Well-
but that's in the fall, not the spring.
Well, he's
and
always
he
struggled
hasn't
there.
Do
been
you
that
remember
bad
how
there
bad
lately.
Kyle Busch crashed in the spring of 2013?
That was
Yeah.
spring. But
Well,
yes, so 2013 he had bad luck. 2014, I think one of the races he had bad luck. 2015 he only got to race there once in the chase, and obviously it wasn't that bad of a luck.
All right, look. All right, I'm looking at Jeff. Actually ran the road course and the mile track at the Japan race. He finished 3rd and 2nd in both races.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he ran the road course.
Yeah. so
Here's a very interesting question. Once Stewart retires after this season, is he still going to run the 500?
No.
No, I don't think so.
All right,
He's not going to. I don't see him pulling a Michael Waltrip.
This is why I think Kyle Busch. Okay, Kyle Busch is either going to have really good luck or he's going to have really bad luck. I'm looking at his races at Kansas. Races in 2011, he finished 3rd twice. First race of 2012, he finished 25th. Then he finished 4th and 5th the next 2 races. And then in the fall race of 2013 and in the spring of 2014, he went 18th and 24th. And now his last 2 races, both fall races in October, he's had 7th and 3rd with top 5 starting positions.
Can anyone here? say
Actually, I
the
just
one-
read off the starts. I'm dumb. Never mind.
Wait,
Forget what I said. Forget what I said. Those were starting positions.
wait. And can anybody here name the one truck track he's never won at?
Who?
Eldora?
Kyle Busch?
Eldora?
Yeah, this one truck track he's never won at before that he's raced at.
But Kyle Busch has said
Richmond?
that. But Kyle Busch has said that he doesn't want to run Eldora.
Was
No,
it Richmond?
No, it's not Richmond. Well, he's never won at Richmond before, but that's not an active track in the Truck Series.
Well, we'll be soon.
That's true. It's
So I'm counting it. Count it.
There's one track that's like left on the truck resume for him.
Canadian Tire.
No, he's never. Well, he's never raced that.
Actually, that's it. I forgot.
Is he won at Daytona in the Truck Series?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
He's won the Truck Series.
He's won Dega.
I know what track. I know what track it is, but he hasn't ran this track in 15 years, and he ran it with Roush.
California?
No, he's won there twice in the Truck Series.
He ran this track with Roush when he won it?
Chicago Motor Speedway.
No, well, he ran Chicago, but he never won there. The short track version.
Well, he ran that with Roush, though, when he ran out of fuel.
Yeah, it was in 2001. Nobody knows it. I know what it is.
I have no clue.
Let's see. He won at this track in 2009 in the Cup Series. He actually said if anybody watched the Las Vegas Post race, he actually wanted to run here in the next few years.
Las Vegas, is that the track?
Yeah, it's Las Vegas.
Oh,
He hasn't won at Vegas.
wow, throw us a big hint, why don't you?
Well, the thing about Las Vegas is that Las Vegas tends to always be on the same weekend as the fall race and the night race. So I think it'd be too much for Kyle Busch to travel across the country.
Unless he does this, if Kyle Busch says he wants to run it in the next few years, but if Kyle decided when he retires to still run some truck races, he could run it then.
No, honestly, it wouldn't be that bad. Just have Matt Tiff run the 18 car, and then he just flies to Vegas. I mean, I think he could do it easily.
I mean, drivers have done that before. They've flown from one track to the next and had somebody else qualify.
Yeah, I mean,
like who was it had Matt Crafton practice and qualify? Paul Menard.
Paul Menard?
Had Matt Crafton practicing, or was it was Kurt Busch? I don't know. It was either Kurt Busch, Truex, or Paul Menard that they had Matt Crafton, who was in Michigan, practice and qualify while the other went and drove a road course race in Xfinity.
Well, Kyle is the only guy ever to run 3 different tracks the same week. He ran Texas, Kentucky, and Pocono all in the same week, and he got progressively
Oh my
worse.
God!
He finished second. Wait, what's that?
Wasn't it Crafton did all that stuff for Paul Menard when Menard ran at Canadian Tire?
No, Menard
Yes.
never ran a Canadian Tire. Crafton stuff for Menard and Truex when Truex was with his girlfriend.
Well, what was the road course that Menard ended up winning at in Xfinity?
Road America.
Road America.
Road
That's
America.
what I get those two tracks confused. I don't know why. Was it that weekend when he won at Road America that Matt Crafton was doing all that stuff for him in Cup?
No, the Cup Series was off that week.
Oh, that was the off week. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, there's only, let's see, how many tracks? There's only 5 tracks he's never won at in the Truck Series. None of them are active, but besides Vegas.
I'm just looking here. Has anybody made a Dale Jr. sandwich yet?
No.
No.
Banana and Hellman's mayonnaise.
We don't have any
I know
bananas in this house.
Steven and Zach and I know someone who has.
Yeah.
I think John
Who?
knows who it is. Buchanan.
Oh,
He
yeah.
What did
He
he?
made,
What did he
if I
think of
remember
it?
correctly, he made a banana, mayonnaise, and Dorito sandwich.
He made a Doritos.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
he had a death wish apparently.
Official sandwich, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh man. Any final top stories before we wrap up this week's episode?
Brad Keselowski's gonna get dumped.
No.
I'm calling it.
Zach Rogers is gonna tweet Austin Dillon and said, "Could you do me a favor for Johnny Gunner and just dump Brad Keselowski on the final lap, please? Thank you."
Well, no.
If it's for the win, yes, but if not,
If there's anyone that needs to be dumped, it's Jimmy Johnson.
Let's go you, Zach.
you know, Keselowski could just blow a tire and spin out and wreck into Logano. That would be perfect too.
The ARCA series.
Pumping for the win and they just
By the
wreck
way,
each other. and Austin Dillon.
Kyle Busch could blow a tire on the white flag lap and go around again with a flat tire.
New Voltage Online Cup Series.
With his 10-second lead, of course.
Yeah.
The ARCA series signed a 10-race deal, so there's gonna be a lot more televised ARCA races now.
There is actually an ARCA race tonight at the National Fairgrounds, but it's going to be during the Cup race, so I won't be able to watch that live.
Yeah, John was telling he's running that race.
Oh, Tally's running at ARCA still?
Yep, Tally's running ARCA.
I thought he kind of graduated from ARCA. I didn't know he was still running there.
No, he's gonna run 15 races this year when it doesn't mix with his truck schedule.
Because I didn't see him in the field at Daytona, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he's not running ARCA anymore.
Oh, he ran the ARCA Daytona. I think he actually won the race.
No, I don't think so.
It was somebody else. I watched that race. It was somebody else.
Yeah, no, it was Townley. Townley won that race.
Townley won that
Townley
race?
won
Are
it.
you sure?
He won it 3 years.
Yes, it was. It was John West Townley.
I remember
watched
when
it.
he won it back in, like, what was it, 2013, 2014? But I don't... Did he really win it this year? Hold on, I gotta look.
Yeah, he won Daytona.
Yep, he actually did. Yep, he won it.
Are you kidding?
And I was rooting for him too because he had Zaxby's on the car, and I like Zaxby's.
Huh.
Yeah, he beat William Byron.
And I
Kyle
watched that
Larson.
race, and I forgot who won it. Wow, GGV.
Oh yeah, we should mention that Frank Kimmel got screwed out of his full season running for Team Strange.
Wait, he got screwed out of his full season?
So he was supposed to run the full season as a retirement tour, but apparently Strange snuck him out of it, something like that, snuck him out of the deal or something like that.
Wow.
Brian Keselowski will be running Bobby Gerhardt's 5.
Well, it's not Gerhardt's 5. It's his car, and he's getting the engine from Gerhardt, so it's pretty much it.
He's partnering with him.
Yeah. So yeah, so we don't have to worry about Kyle Busch winning again till Charlotte, because he only can win at tracks he's never won at now.
Has there been any Xfinity driver that's a regular that has won yet for this chase format?
I would probably say the first time that happened, it will be at Iowa, because that's the first non-companion race.
Or Talladega.
And it's probably going to be Eric Jones.
I would hope
Suarez.
so. That's what makes this. That's what I don't get, right? So they put in the chase for Xfinity and they say 12 drivers are going to make the chase. Well, only 4 of those are probably going to get a win before the chase comes. So you're like Ryan Sieg makes it in on points.
Well, you got Ryan Sieg, you've got
Well,
Cale Conley.
Well, Cale Conley doesn't run a point. Ryan Sieg has more top 10s than Ryan Reed.
Does he really?
Yes, I'm dead serious on that fact.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Reed,
Ryan
yes,
Reed
Reed.
has just been absolutely horrible this season, so...
I think that win at Daytona last year was luck.
Now the thing about
Well, no. Ryan Reed is good at the super speedways, but that's the only track that he's really ever good at. You put him at the other tracks
Like
in the schedule
most Rouse drivers, like Trevor Bain.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I mean,
an interesting fact is they're actually having 2 championships. They're actually having an owner's championship and a regular championship. That's why they're giving winner stickers to the 18 and 2 car this year.
right. Well, that's why Kyle Busch is running the 18 cars, because even though he's obviously trying to get experience for the Cup race, he's running to get the points for the owners' championship too.
They're gonna run out of space on that window.
And honestly, Kyle can pretty much I wonder how long it's gonna take Kyle to get 100 Xfinity wins. That's gonna be crazy.
I mean,
I'd say in the next
he's only
3
got
years,
20 more to go.
I mean,
Depending how many races he runs in the next 3 years, the next 3 years.
I mean, if you think about it, he can possibly get 200 NASCAR wins. That's crazy in the modern era to think about.
Overall, in all 3 series, 200. I
Well, I
think
mean,
he's
how many
what?
more starts is he projected to make this season?
Let's see, he's running, I think, 3 more truck races, about 13 more Xfinity races, and about 30 more Cup starts.
Okay,
So he's running 13 more Xfinity races.
13 more
he's
Xfinity
won
races.
4
So let's
races.
project that in the next continue. If we include this year, let's say up to including 2018. If this whole rumored thing of the Cup drivers only being allowed 10 Xfinity starts each season takes place next year, then we're talking about possibly 33 more starts in the next 3 years.
Yeah, he can easily get it done. I mean,
even if he's just running 10 races, he'll probably win like 7 of those. So
yeah.
I'd say next 3 or 4 years for sure.
I mean, honestly, I would like to see Kyle maybe run like a Road America or a Mid-Ohio because he's never ran there before.
Wait, Steven, did you say that Ryan Sieg had more points than Ryan Reed?
No, he has more top 10s in his career.
Oh, more top 10s. Oh, okay, yeah.
That is pretty sad to think about, Ryan.
I
mean, Ryan is running a lot better equipment than he has.
Oh, I'm just looking up Kyle Busch's things real quick because I forget how many sprint and. So he's got 35 Sprint Cup wins.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to get down to trucks. He's got 45 truck wins, which is second to only Ron Hornaday Jr.
He's 6 behind Hornaday. I mean, you imagine in your career, you're the most wins in the truck series, the most Xfinity wins, and 40 Cup wins. That's a pretty good career, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
With a championship in.
And you gotta keep in mind
Did
too.
he win?
A truck
Did
is
he
not
ever
like
win?
an Xfinity car. It's not like a Sprint Cup car. So I mean, he's diversified. He's getting diversified wins.
Right, and remember,
I mean-
2009, Kyle won the Xfinity championship
Yeah, and the only
with
thing that's
9
holding,
wins.
the only thing that's holding Kyle, I think he still has to win the Daytona 500, an All-Star race, and he's got maybe one day win the truck championship.
All right, I just want to say one thing quickly, and you know that like if the rules happen or like they're restricting Kyle and stuff.
It won't happen.
2013 and 2014, he ran 26 races each in Xfinity. In 2013, he won 12 races, and in 2014, he won 7. Last year, he ran 15 races and won 6. This year, he's run 5 and he's won 4.
If you think about it, since he joined Gibbs in the Xfinity series, he only won, I think, 11 races with Hendrick. He's won 69 races with Gibbs in the past 8 years. Just think how many races that is.
If we put aside the stats of this year for Xfinity and with what Zach was just giving us with the Xfinity stats before, that's kind of basically every 2 races he won one of them.
Pretty much. And he has 9 wins.
Also,
I think he has 5 or more tracks in Xfinity where he's won 6 or more races. That is unbelievable.
Also, this is like some irrelevant information, but K&N Pro Series East, he ran a race back in 2009, which he won. Out of the 9 ARCA races he did when he was growing up, he won 3 of those.
He's the only guy in history ever to win the ARCA series at Daytona, Cup, Truck, and Xfinity. He's the only guy ever to do it.
He has not won an All-Star race.
No. He's won the Gatorade Duels. I mean,
He started on the pole for the All-Stars 3 times, though. 2011, 2012, and 2008, he started on the pole.
welcome to NASCAR Talk, talking about stats of Kyle Busch.
Fantastic.
Where the stats are real and the points are made up.
But realistically, though, think about this. If you wait, hang on, what the hell? Oh, so Kyle Busch ran 6 races in trucks in 2001. Took 2002 completely off.
Yeah.
And he ran partial schedules. He ran 1 race in trucks in 2004. But then in 2003, he ran 7 races in Infinity, and then that's when he started full-time at 19.
Well,
And
if
he's
you
been
look-
in Cup.
Oh, wait, back that up. the reason why he had to take 2002 completely off was because in January of '02, NASCAR implemented a rule that drivers had to be 18 or older to compete.
Do you know? Do you know the reason why for that?
Because he was racing in California and Formula One was there, and the Formula One race was sponsored by Marlboro, and he got ejected.
Yep, that's why. I mean, and the thing about Kyle almost won at Sirico, I think, whatever it was called, and then he ran out of gas with 5 laps to go.
Yep. And
But
I
think-
realized that I was like, because I was actually getting ready to watch the California, and I was like, what is this? Because I saw somebody else because wasn't it Kurt in the '99 at California for his brother or what?
I don't even remember, but
I just want to point out one thing if we're close to ending it all. Just think about it this way. So Kyle Busch is 31 right now, and he has had about 10 full years of Cup experience at 31 in 35 wins. And if you think about it, Logano entered at basically the same age as Kyle did, so Logano could probably be just like Kyle as far as Cup years experience goes. And I think the only other driver that started really young right now is Ryan Blaney.
Is that it?
I mean,
And Chase Elliott.
Well, Chase is actually older than Austin Dillon, so.
I mean,
No.
Or
Kyle's
like
going
a year younger, but.
Well, I don't think personally Kyle will win at every track because I think in the next 10 years we're definitely going to see the Cup Series at Iowa or somewhere like maybe Mid Ohio or Road America. Somewhere in the next 10 years I could see that happen.
But I would say, like, if we're going to talk about a next driver to do what Kyle did and what Logano's done, which is start at, like, 20, it's going to be Eric Jones because they want to rush. They want to get him up to Cup.
Yeah,
He only ran one full season of trucks, and they promoted him right to Xfinity. If he wins this championship in Xfinity, I say Hamlin's got a contract ending. Depending on sponsors with
No way.
Hamlin, you could see Eric Jones come right on up in 2017.
What I can see happen, there's no way they'll let Hamlin go. What I can see happening is in next year that he runs a second furniture row car, the 87, for a few
Exactly.
years.
Yeah,
And
that's
with
that's what they're saying because obviously there's that alliance between Furniture Row and Joe Gibbs now with Furniture Row going over to a Toyota.
And they, with
And-
needing sponsors for the second car, Jones being a really good young driver would probably get it them. Too.
Oh, they'd easily get sponsorship for him.
Well, let's see what happened with that is he'll run that for a few years, and I can see Kenseth retiring because I don't see Kenseth running for another 5 years. And then Suarez gets into that. Maybe Suarez runs the car after Jones does.
Or maybe switch Eric Jones over to the 20 car if Kenseth retires, and then have that second team for Furniture Row get filled by Suarez or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
And-
their Xfinity program's dead.
I know now that we're talking about retirement, it makes me think of Greg Biffle because Biffle's the oldest driver right now at 46, and he still has 2 or 3 more years on his contract.
Well,
And Roush is only at 3 cars right now, but if Biffle retires, who comes up to fill the seat, or does Roush
Darrell
sign
Wallace
something?
Jr.
No, I can see Chris Buescher taking the seat before Wallace. I mean, Greg.
Really?
Because
think
Chris
that
Buescher
Wait.
is in the 34, and that
I
is
mean,
kind
do
of
you
a
really
crappy
think that
team.
we'd see Chris Buescher now that he's up in the Cup Series level already, that we'd see him go over back to Roush Fenway? I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I think the only reason he's not running for Roush is because they couldn't get sponsors to field the full-time 4th 99 car, because I think I read something Roush wants to bring that number back.
Well, Greg hasn't been good since 2013. We can all say that. But I can definitely see Buescher's always been a Roush driver because he's ran for Roush in the ARCA. Was a Roush developer driver when he won the ARCA title, and now pretty much front row is as an alliance with Roush. So Roush is pretty much borrowing him to that car before a seat can open up.
So then, where does that put Darrell Wallace Jr. then?
Honestly,
In
Darrell
the 6,
Wallace.
because Trevor Bain sucks.
No, Trevor Bain's gonna stay because he got AvoCare. But
Yeah.
honestly, what I can see maybe happening, I know with Harvick running the 4, they all say Harvick is still, but they say Harvick's going to run for RCR for the next few years. I can see happening is Harvick replaces Kane in the 5 because Kane's done terrible in the 5 for the last 2 years, and I see Ryan Blaney going to the 4 and Darrell Wallace going to the 21.
Wait. When do you
hear,
see
though?
this? When do you see this happening with the Harvick situation?
I see
Harvick
Harvick.
said. But, I'm sorry to cut you off, Stephen, but I read a thing. I looked at J-Ski on the driver chart yesterday,
Yeah,
and
same.
apparently on the 7th, Harvick said he believes his contract goes to either 2017 or 2018, so he
Yeah,
can't
that's
leave.
it goes to 2017, 2018. It's got like a slash in there.
Yep,
I mean,
because they don't know for sure.
I mean,
And they said the owner of Ford, or I guess I don't really know if he's the owner of Ford, but a spokesman said he's absolutely positive that Harvick is going to run a Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing next season. Because you got to remember too, if Harvick moves over, if he does, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he does move away from Stewart-Haas and goes to Hendrick, Rodney Childress isn't going with him. Childress is still signed past 2016 to Stewart-Haas Racing.
well, the contract is crazy, bro. Because I heard if Harvick's leaving, he's gonna leave with Childress. Because Harvick's not in it for the money. He wants to run a Chevy because he's always been a Chevy driver. Yeah, Harvick's never been in it for the money. That's the thing I like about it. He wants to be in, like, I don't know how to explain it, but you know.
Okay, I'm super confused right now. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, never mind. I was trying to remember. I thought Casey Kane was going over to the 14 next season. That's Clint Boyer. Okay, never mind. So your whole scenario there, Steven, with Harvick going over to Hendrick, that could happen 2018 because both their contracts are up.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only contracts that are up after the season are, I think, like, most of the small teams, because most of those do
Reed
the 1-year
Smith.
deals. But the other ones that are more bigger would be Hamlin and McMurray.
Yeah,
Well,
Hamlin,
And I
McMurray,
think Menard and Newman. Menard and Newman, too.
But the question is, who fills the seat for Boyer H. Scott next year? That's the question. Who comes and fills that seat?
If you think about it, depending who's going to get re-signed, if they can bring Ty Dillon up, you might see maybe Menard go over there because he has Menards. Because I don't think RCR's ready for 4 cars yet. They need sponsorship.
No, well, that's what I'm thinking. If RCR needs sponsorship, why would they let Paul Menard go?
No, they're not gonna let Menard go because he's too valuable. The only guy I could see.
They'd probably let Newman.
Newman, yeah, because Newman lost his Caterpillar sponsorship, Quicken Loans. They only has no, he's still sponsored by Caterpillar, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, but
Clark
it's mostly
Ranger.
Quicken Loans now. Actually, he lost Quicken Loans is what he lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quicken
lost
Loans
that
went
to
over to
Kane.
the 5 team.
So he lost. Like, he doesn't bring in a lot of money, so.
Let's see, he's got Caterpillar for 22 races, Granger, and Wix Filters.
I mean, I heard there's a.
He had more when he was with Haas.
Like, honestly, I heard Danica might get kicked for Kimi Räikkönen next year.
Are you serious?
Yes!
That would be
True
pretty
to
funny.
the world, Danica gets the boot.
Actually, you know what would be better? You know what would be better than Kimi Räikkönen?
What?
Who was
John
the
Cena.
driver?
Rico Abreu.
Wasn't it Lewis Hamilton and Tony Stewart? Remember when they did their swap at Watkins Glen a few years
Yeah,
ago?
back in
And
2011.
Oh, yeah,
Lewis
yeah,
said
yeah.
he wanted to run a Sprint Cup car. That would be awesome.
Well, the thing with Danica is Nature Bakery's not even spot. It's just like on the car. They're not actually paying. It's pretty much like, oh, so you get the spot. You have to be on the car. We give you a free H&C machines for your shop.
If I'm
By the
perfectly
way-
honest, if someone was going to replace Danica Patrick, I think maybe based on performance this season, you might see Brian Vickers get the ride.
Because he does have I think is Jensen the blood cleanser or is it the other sponsor that's the blood cleanser?
Jensen, I think, is the foundation that
He's got
has
another
the.
sponsor.
Peralta is
It's like the clot awareness thing.
And then Seralta.
Seralta is the blood thinner.
But
Yeah,
is he-
because he's
is he
been
a
in
top-
commercials
But
playing
is he
golf.
Yeah,
But
with Arnold Palmer and
Arnold
Chris Bosch.
Palmer.
But do you
Arnold
really want to
Palmer.
do you really want to take a risk on a guy who's missed like over half his career the last 5 years?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it could potentially be a lined-up ride for him for next season if Patrick's gone, depending on if he's able to finish out this season.
Yeah.
Which, let's say, if Vickers does get cleared back full time, if he doesn't replace Danica, he'll probably go to the H. Scott car.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. You probably then would see him go over to that second H. Scott
But
ride.
would that be 15 still, or would it be another number? Is the question.
Because
Because 15's Boyer's number, but he's going to be driving 14, supposedly.
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I mean, I would think H. Scott would still hold the rights to the 15 if after Boyer left, so they could still have him run the 15.
Well,
that's where I
thing
didn't really get the deal with the 15 because MWR left, but so that means H. Scott still owns the 51 because they had to have bought the 15, and the 55 has been bought by Premium.
Well, the thing with numbers is Hendrick still owns the 25, even though they've only ran it 4 times.
Exactly. That's why they were able to have Chase Elliott in that 5th ride.
Like the story with the 4 number is Go ahead. So I'll tell the story after.
All right. Here's the thing I just wanted to point out because we mentioned 25 with Chase. Chase ran the 9 in Xfinity, and I'm sure I remember hearing somewhere or talking to somebody about it that Chase really wants to be in the 9 car. He could possibly. I think Richard Petty still owns it.
No,
he could.
No.
He.
Richard Petty's driving his cars for RPM now are the 43.
Yeah, but they still.
But they still own the rights to the 9 car.
No, they gave up the number. They gave the number last year.
Did they really?
Did they give it?
Yeah. It's open to anybody who wants to take it now.
So if Chase wanted to, if Chase didn't want to stay in the 24, he might be able to convince Hendrick. But if Hendrick doesn't want him to go for it, he'll leave. I'm pretty sure.
Nah, there's no way he'll leave. No way. Where is he gonna go if he leaves?
Think about it. His contract ends in what? 2018. There's a lot of
There's not a chance.
Contracts
not
opening
a
up.
chance.
He could.
Leaving Hendrick.
What about this? Think about this. Bill Elliott drove Ford his whole career until he went to Evernham. I mean, Chase has been running Chevy because that's who's been offering him. But if Chase is secretly a Ford guy, what if he left for Roush Fenway, or if Stuart Haas had somebody retire and he was to Stuart Haas and drove a Ford?
There's the better thing. He's getting better.
Bill Elliott restarted his own team and have Chase drive for him.
Whoa.
The 94.
There's a big difference here. Chase is getting better equipment than
absolutely, and that's the thing. Yeah.
If he went to Stuart Haas, it'd be equal equipment depending on how they
Chase
do it.
Elliott in the Xfinity Series, when he drove the 9, he was getting help. Yeah, it was obviously under Junior Motorsports, but that was Hendrick helped team. So,
right, which
he's been under Hendrick.
Well.
He's been under the help of Hendrick for so many years. I do not see him leaving Hendrick help at all.
No way in hell.
Well, if they don't give him the 9, though, a number, some people take the number more seriously than having a good ride.
No,
I could. So I could definitely see Hendrick in negotiations to get the 9 car for sure. But I mean, I don't see I see that more of a possibility than Chase leaving Hendrick Motorsports.
Oh hell,
because I mean, I'm sure Jeff wouldn't mind it if Chase didn't want to drive the 24, and I'm sure a lot of the Gordon fans would be okay with him not being in the 24 because you will see all the people that hate on Austin Dillon being in the 3 car because it's Dale's number, but it's not Dale's number. Richard Childress drove the 3 first.
You think about who's going to drive the 24. I mean, do you really think the fans want to see Reed Sorensen drive the 24 Stars Park car?
well, here's my question though. Do we really need to have the 24 car on track?
Yes.
And I say the same to the 14.
No, I mean, it's the same thing with the 43. They could have retired it. I mean, that's always been Richard's number.
Because I say the same thing to the 14 because Stewart was known for the 20. Kenseth drives the 20 now. So, now Stewart's more known for the 14 because he did win a championship in it, but is it necessary? Is it even necessary to have the 43 car on track?
Well, Stewart's gonna get known for the 20 car than the 14 car, regardless. I think, even though he did win a championship in the 14, his first championship came in the 20. So I don't think you're gonna see him remembered as much for the 14 as he is for the 20.
Unless you have a driver come in with that well-known of a number, people won't forget about the previous driver, because if you think about Kyle Busch in the 18, does anybody really mention Bobby Labonte that much when he was in the 18?
Yes,
Because he
a
won a
lot.
chip.
Yeah, they do.
Everyone.
Well,
remembers
then I guess
Bobby
I'm
Lee.
wrong.
Well, the thing about what were we talking about? The number. The only number I don't see they should have brought back is the 3. They should have just left that number as the way it was in 2001.
Well, if you think about it, Richard Childress didn't want to bring it back unless, like, he offered it to Dale Jr., but it didn't happen because Dale Jr. didn't want to drive it.
Well, Dale's original
But
number was actually supposed to be 28.
Austin did drive it up through it, has driven it up through his whole career, and like Austin, like I remember reading it, and I think NASCAR Illustrated when they had the conversation. Richard Childress was talking about it. He said Austin came to me and said I want to drive the 3, and I'm like, that's Dale's number, and he said no, it's your number, because it is true. Richard Childress did drive a few races in the 3 when he started up his team.
Exactly.
So it is
that
his number.
Well, that was in the 80s. This is I think he should have ran the 03. That's what I think. He should have ran the 03 instead of running the 3, out of respect. I mean, the 03 hasn't ran in NASCAR since, what, like 1996 in the Suzuka race with Joe Beam. Good old Joe Beam.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, I mean, they did go when Junior joined the team. They went out of their way to get the 88 for him. I mean, obviously he wanted the 8 originally, but Teresa Earnhardt wouldn't let him do that. So, we got the 88. I think the only way that Chase Elliott would even have a shot at driving the 5 is if they had negotiated something with Richard Petty Motorsports this season, heading into this season.
Well, the thing is,
9. You said 5 right there.
Oh, I said 5. Okay, the 9 car, and with all the lead up of Chase driving the 24 and everything, I don't think you're going to see Chase Elliott driving the 9. I think he's pretty much going to be stuck driving the 24.
Well, the thing is about Junior is Junior actually was wanting to run the 28, but that was owned by Yates at the time, so he agreed on the 88.
Oh, really? Huh.
I didn't know he wanted the 28.
Yeah, the 28. I think there was some other numbers that are mentioned. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, actually, Harvick's original plan was he's going to run 7 races in the 30 and then run full time in 2002. That's why he ran the full Busch schedule in 01.
In the 30, huh?
Like the numbers that he wanted to run was either 28, the 38, the 51, the 58, the 81, and the 82, but they end up going with 88.
Oh, probably the
Surprised
81 for the Busch Series number he had.
Yeah, and
Wait.
with
The diecast.
I'm surprised nobody had. Who the hell owns the 8? Does Chip Ganassi own it?
I think it's still owned by Teresa. The 8 hasn't ran since Almirola. And,
Yeah, the last time the 8 was ran was in 2009 with Eric Almirola.
But
Yeah.
how can it be owned by Teresa if the team doesn't exist anymore?
Well, you can still buy a number. You don't need to run it, but you can own it. And most people respect that number.
You can
That's
still
why.
buy the number, but you don't have to own it.
Yeah.
So what's
a lot
her
of people
big
respect
deal
it.
about keeping 8 though?
It's always been like
It's always been an Earnhardt number. She doesn't want it to be anybody else's.
That's true.
Exactly.
Well, that's true. Well,
She pretty much
So if anybody wants to run it,
no, the
wait a
thing
minute.
about-
I just had a thought about this, and it's probably way off a long time from now. But remember, it's either a granddaughter or a great niece for Dale Jr. That's like really good at the racing she does. Maybe she comes back if she comes to Cup ever.
honestly,
She could run the 8.
there's rumors that Ty Dillon's gonna run the 8 when he moves to Cup.
Really?
Are you serious?
I have not heard of
Yeah.
those.
There's rumors that he's gonna run the 8 when he moves up finally.
How is Richard Childress going to work that out?
I mean, think about it. RCR, DEI were basically
There was a big
because
powerhouse.
Dale
back in the day.
Earnhardt drove for RCR when he had his own team still. So
Yeah.
think about that. I mean, I'm
I
sure
can see it
Richard
working.
and Teresa have talked. Like even though like they don't talk as much anymore, I'm sure they still talk a lot.
Yeah.
And you got to think Richard even offered Dale Jr. to drive the 3, so there's got to be if anybody was to get the 8, it would probably be RCR. But
Well,
I
the
think
only
I
thing
heard
I would have to think,
Ty.
though, is Teresa Earnhardt's persona, especially back when Junior made the move to Ender Motorsports, seems to be as tough as nails on that 8 car because, you know, Junior asked for the 8 car to be transferred over there, and she said no. So, I mean, what
Really?
is Richard Childress going to be able to offer,
Well-
you know, that Dale Jr. wasn't able to?
Could there have been difficulties still going on when Dale Jr. made the switch? Maybe when Junior wanted to make the switch, maybe Teresa felt betrayed, like he's betraying them or like
Well, I
being
think
a
that was
traitor or
definitely,
whatever.
I think that definitely was an
And
issue.
maybe that was like why she said no. If you want to leave, you're not taking the number with you.
Well, no,
But
it's
I
not betrayed.
remember before we get into this, I remember reading. I think it was either last year or the end of 2014 that Ty wanted to run in the 41, but that would depend if Kurt Busch and SHR would give that number up, which I don't see happening. So.
Well, the original plan for Newman was originally going to run the 4, but Morgan McClure held on for the number so long before NASCAR took it right under their wing.
Morgan McClure still owned the 4?
Yeah, in 2009. Now, Morgan didn't want Stuart Haas to run it because that's always been the number, but they didn't attempt any race and NASCAR finally stepped in and took the number away from them and gave it to Stuart Haas.
Wait, was that when Ward Burton drove?
No, that was in 09 when McClure.
That was when Scott Wimmer.
Scott Wimmer drove the car.
Oh, yeah.
Because McClure.
So could NASCAR do the same thing with the 8 if they wanted to?
If they really wanted to, they could pretty
Or
much
if
take
it's
it out.
is it because it's the wife of Dale Earnhardt that they'll respect her and say we won't take it from you?
No, they
Here's the thing, though,
Morgan
okay?
McClure's a big respected name in NASCAR. They took it out underneath them because they weren't attempting, and Stuart Haas really wanted the number.
Gotcha.
So if Ty Dillon runs 8
um,
though.
And they
Well,
some of the numbers
yeah,
we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Those diecasts that I ordered, the 39s, those were both used the last time the 39 was run before Stuart Haas was actually, I want to say, wasn't it in 205 though?
Yeah, I think so. But a point with Seth's favorite driver, I think Casey Mears was originally supposed to run a 30 in 2006, but then McMurray left for Roush, then he moved to the
Yes,
40.
the 30 was supposed to be used in 2006 with Home 123 as sponsor, but they pulled out last minute.
I think Jamie left, actually.
Yeah,
And,
Jamie left. And then
Jamie
it
left
was
for
supposed to be
Roush.
used- Mhm.
Well, I mean,
What?
yeah, they Ganassi had the rights to the 30 because Montoya ended up running that one race.
Yeah.
And like Stewart's original number was supposed to be the 19, not the 20. So
By the way, I want to point this out because I found this out a few days ago. You might not believe it, but Chip Ganassi the Chip Ganassi team was originally called Team Sabco. When
Yeah,
Chip
because
Sabco
yeah.
originally came on.
Yep.
And Kyle Petty drove the 42 car, so you will probably never see them let go of the 42 as long as Felix Sabates is in partnership with that
Yep.
team.
Yeah.
And now I think the biggest number one is Gordon was originally supposed to run the 46, but since it was owned by Days of Thunder, they moved him to the 24.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought it was
a little fact
92.
about Terry Labonte.
I thought it
was
was the
supposed-
92 they were supposed to run.
No, I think it was
not
the 40. It was the 46, and I think they were still planning to still
There
have
was a
DuPont as the
license
sponsor.
issue with
Yeah.
Paramount Pictures and Days of Thunder, so they couldn't run the 46, henceforth the 24.
Yeah, I mean honestly, most people don't realize Kenny Wallace actually has drove in the 24 in the 90s.
Yep. Back in as a
Sprague.
Pontiac.
Yep, he drove for Team something. I don't know what it was.
But Jeff
I
Gordon was
see
not
it
the
was
original
46.
Gordon in the 24. Cecil Gordon was the first one.
Remember
Yeah.
Jack Sprague in that 24 Net Zero car?
Well,
Yes,
the
in the
thing
Oh,
Busch
about,
Series back
my
in
God.
02.
Yeah.
Actually led at Texas.
well, the thing about Jack, he pretty much fell completely apart. The first half, he was the points leader, he was running good, and then he went, fell right off the face of the earth.
Yeah. But also,
You know what's funny?
Terry Labonte in 2005 asked Petty Enterprises back then to run the 44 and was able to do so.
Right.
Well, what most people don't realize, like, this is a cool story. Kyle Petty actually subbed But Harvick in a race at Bristol got fined $50,000 by Dodge for running a Chevy.
Wow.
Remember when who was that? Yeah, Kyle Petty actually subbed for Mayfield in 2000 at the Brickyard.
Yeah, Mayfield got a concussion.
Well, we're gonna have to end off this episode here, but a lot of good in-depth talk there. So thank you everybody for watching, and thank you guys for joining me for this episode. And anything you want to say before we end the broadcast?
Where's my hat?
It's gone forever.
Your hat's
I
hiding.
don't- Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Kidnapped.
Your hat's gone.
Kidnapped by the Illuminati.
Look at this hat.
I think